with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm gonna show you guys how you can actually uh, put some objects in the Amazon S3 bucket. Amazon S3 is a storage service provided by Amazon, which is the Amazon Web Services, and in this today's video I'm gonna show you how you can actually upload some objects means like any images, PDFs, or PNG or JPEG files, and how you can actually uh, get the endpoint URL which you can actually use it and send it to anywhere in the world, and they can actually download the content from the S3 bucket itself. So let's get started. So as I'm already logged into my company account, which is Sharmio, and so I'm currently already search here, but if you are open your AWS account once you're going to log in, and if you do have the access, you can actually go and see the console bar, go to the storage, and then you will find out the S3, which is a scalable storage in the cloud, and which is the S3 service. Or either you can just search it from here, the S3. The first or second link should be provide you the link for the S3 service. So this is the current bucket, and you can see I have currently 13 of the buckets. So first thing what we're going to do, we're going to create a bucket. The bucket names are always going to be universal unique, so it's not only the name is going to be restricted inside your AWS, it's going to be the worldwide. So make sure whatever the name you are selecting, the name should be does not exist at all anywhere in the world. For example, if I'm going to create Amazon as a bucket name, this bucket is I highly believe it's already created by someone else in the past, so you can say the bucket name is already exists. So the names of the buckets are universal. It's not only related to your AWS account in that particular region or something like that. So you have to provide something good name. So I'm going to provide my company name with demo, because the company name is unique and I'm just putting a demo. So this name is, I believe so, nobody has used in the past anywhere in the world. And now, although the S3 service is global itself, but you can see like I cannot change the region, but it is recommended, and the AWS services by itself ask like where you want to use that region of your AWS for the storing this bucket, and only the available regions are these ones. All the blank ones are the faded, you cannot actually see. That means they are not available, the service is not itself available in that particular region. So I'm fine with the US East, but if you are in different region, you can change it. Okay, let's say I'm also moved to Sydney because I'm very close to Sydney at the moment. And now it's asking about the object ownerships, like who will going to have the control ownership of the objects which you're going to upload inside your bucket. So it's completely up to you. You want to be ACL, which is the access control list, is going to be disable or enable. I'm just going to make it enable, and I'm going to select the object ownership, the bucket owner, which is currently myself. And then you will asking us by default, whenever you're going to create any bucket, the AWS by itself does not allow you to put any content on the public side. So by default, everything is going to be in private. So I'm not going to touch here. I'm going to show you how you can actually change the object to a public. So bucket versioning is like when you are trying to upload multiple versions of the bucket, of the object, I mean. So for example, you have uploaded a resume for your company, or you're looking for a job, and now you generated a one standard URL of your S3 which you send it to the recruiter. Now every time if you're making some changes, like you get some more skill sets and you want to include it in your resume, so the ideology works is you just put the same name of the object and push it to the same S3 bucket. The recruiter will always, whenever they're going to click on the endpoint, which is the object URL, they will get the latest version of your bucket, of the item, which is the resume in your case. So it is highly recommended. I always say enable the bucket versioning. It also helps if you want to go back to the previous versions and see what was the difference between both the version, which is the latest versus the previous version. I'm going to include some tag about the particular what's the for using resources tag. So I'm just going to provide some key and value pair. So I'm just provided the name, which is the Sharmio demo. I'm also going to provide in which region I'm actually deploying. I'm going to also provide like this is for the department type. uh, the tags are completely optional, as they mentioned. It's up to you and your company and the organizations which you're working for. Maybe you use tag, but it is highly recommended from my side. The more tags and the tags which you can actually use to identify your objects and the services you're using inside particular region or inside the AWS account. So it's sometimes really helpful when you have to find out certain things using the resource manager or something like that. So I'm just going to include one more tag, which is the, so I already included the department, region, name, and I'm going to provide the environment. So this is a testing environment, so I'm just going to say testing. Now AWS also supports the encryption at rest. So whenever you're going to put something on the S3 bucket, or you try to download something on the S3 bucket, by default the server side encryption is disabled. You can enable it, and now when you're going to click on the enable, it gives you the two options, like what encryption key type you want to go with. One is the AWS S3 key, which is the server side key by itself, server side encryption using the Amazon S3 key, or you can actually go for the KMS key itself. In case of KMS, there are I think there are three options you can actually go with. Either you can go for the AWS managed key. This is a paid service, so just be mindful of that, of the KMS key. This is not going to be a free of cost service. And you can also go for your customer managed key if it's supportable by them. So you can actually search for any of your keys here, or you can create the key and provide it. So I'm not going to go for the KMS on this demonstration, and I'm going to go with the Amazon S3 key. Amazon S3 key is just, I'm saying like a rather than just the default encryption, which is disabled by default, I would like to have certain encryption when I'm downloading any new data or the object, or I'm uploading something. And now it's also asking about the advanced settings like object logs. We are not going to talk about the object log in this video. This video is for the beginners who are completely new with the AWS, and they want to learn about like what is an S3 service and how they can actually upload some object and put it in the AWS environment. So everything looks good at the moment, and we will just going to click create bucket. If everything looks right, then your bucket will going to create straight away. And if you get the error like you cannot create the bucket because the bucket is not unique or something, then it's you have to do some changes. So Sharmio demo is the bucket which we have created. And if you notice one more things, like most of the buckets are in the regions wise and the objects which is available or not. So I'm going to click on the Sharmio demo, and then you can see that it's completely empty. So we have now the panel is the objects, we have the property about like the property of the bucket, the tags, encryptions, what sort of intelligent tiering we are using. We are not currently using any intelligent tiering. We are also not using any event notifications. So there are a lot of things going to become under this video, which I'm going to discuss later on. And they also have the permissions and everything. So let's go to the objects first and try to upload something. So I'm going to upload my Kubernetes certification, which I just cracked last year. So this is my object which I'm going to upload, which is a CKS upload, and it's just providing the destination. I don't need to worry about currently ACL or anything. I'm just going to click on upload. So once you upload, you can just click on the destination or close this. So any of the way you can see your object is here. When you click on the object, you will get the dynamic one of the static URL for your object. Now you can see this is the URL, but if I'm going to hit this URL, it should be access denied, because by default Amazon does not allow the user to put some objects in the public network. So everything is going to be in private inside your bucket, inside your AWS account. Nothing is actually be accessible by the internet itself. In order, if you wanted to share certain things with the public or with the internet, then you have to make the object as public, or write some bucket policy or the permissions that every object you're uploading in that particular bucket should be accessible by the internet. So in our case, what we're going to do, I'm going to click on the object. So I have selected the object, and now you can see there's an option called action. In the action, you can have an option to change the storage class. The storage class is like Amazon S3 service, which is the storage service provided by Amazon Web Services. They provide 6 different type of storage. In the coming later videos, I'm gonna go each after one of them, like every of them, like how and which case scenarios which you should go after. By default, when you create your object, is always going to be inside the standard bucket, which provides you 99.99999% of the availability and durability and reliability of your object. So now what we're going to do, you will going to see there is an option called make public using ACL. And now what I'm gonna do, so here the Amazon is providing me a notification when public read access is enabled and not blocked by the block public access settings, anyone in the world can access the specified object. That's correct. We wanted certain objects to be accessible by the internet. The reason why we wanted to be actually put some objects in the S3 which can be accessible by the internet anywhere in the world, it can be a many reason behind it. For example, if I'm going to open Uber Eats or something like that, some of the companies, what they do behind the scenes, every logo you are seeing, these things are actually deployed on the S3 as an object. And behind the scene, when you're going to hit the endpoints on the website, they are using certain objects, images, logos behind the scene from the S3, which is coming from the S3, and they may be going to use some CloudFront in front of that, so that depending upon the user, whether it's in Australia or Europe, London, US, they can actually get the content faster and it's being cached for the next time as well. So I'm going to make the public now. If everything's goes, look, no, it's not. So that means it's giving us, for more information, see the error column in the field edit. So we can see we try to make the object public, but it actually get denied. The reason is because we didn't make the bucket itself public at the moment. So first thing is you have to do, go to your property and try to make the bucket as public. If your bucket is not public, then what will happen? Then you can't actually make the object public inside the bucket. So you just go to the permissions and you can say the bucket and the objects are not public at the moment, and you can clearly see that everything for the public access is completely blocked. We will going to click on this edit option, untick this one and save the changes. The Amazon will going to ask, confirm the changes that you are saying the content you're going to provide inside the bucket should be public. But the interesting part is Amazon, even you make the bucket as public, it will still try to make your object by default as private. Even right now, if I'm going to hit the object URL, it should deny the request. Although we made the bucket as public, but inside the bucket, the content and the objects are still private by default of the nature, because we didn't provide any certain extra permissions for our object. So now two options you have. Either you can click on here and go to the action and make the object public, or other option is you can click on the object and now you can see the object actions. In either way, both way, you can actually go and click the object public. Now if I'm going to click the public, it will going to work. So you can see this time I got success. And now if I go to my object, and this is my endpoint URL, if I'm going to hit now, then I will going to see my PDF of my Kubernetes certification. So you can actually put certain objects which you wanted to share with the public access available in the world, so that anyone person or the people or the identity can actually look into the objects which you wanted to share with the world, and you can upload as much as data which you wanted. So it also comes up with some cost as well. It depends upon the services, how many APIs get post requests you are making. Although the Amazon S3 service is quite cheaper, but it can be also become expensive depending upon how many the requests you are hitting per second, per month, or even per week basis. So that's it for this demonstrations. This demonstration is only including about how you can actually upload some content inside the S3 bucket and how you can actually make the bucket as public. Thank you.